Gon' find me working, now you gon' find me working. Gon' find me working, now you gon' find me working. Gon' find me working, he gon' find me working. Gon' find me working for the rest of my life.
This is On Purpose with Andrea Denise. I'm your host, and today we're talking about unlearning things that don't serve us. Now, if you're familiar with any of our previous work, you know that we're about all things personal development. And one thing that we believe is that before you can get into the meat and potatoes of becoming a more well-rounded person and building a life that you want for yourself, you have to first address some things that may hold you back on your journey, that you may have misconceptions about your beliefs and things like that. So that you can get rid of those or tweak them and unlearn certain things, and that will clear the path for you to have a better journey. I won't say easy. I was thinking of saying easy, but it's not easy. This journey is not easy. But it will make it better for you so that you won't have that many roadblocks or anything in your way, those types of obstacles in your way. So we have a great show for you today, but before we jump into it, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsor. The sponsor for today's episode is my company, The Right Mind Studio. It's a wellness company that focuses on personal development through journaling. You can learn more about The Right Mind Studio at rightmindstudio.com. So let's dig into some of the things that you might need to unlearn before you can embark on this beautiful journey of personal development. Not to say though that this isn't a part of it, because it definitely is. It's just one of those prerequisites. It's like a preliminary thing that you need to go over before you can really jump into your goals. It kind of clears up any real obstacles and roadblocks that are coming from you. Like when we embark on any journey, right, there's going to be some kind of adversity that we need to overcome, but we don't want to have to fight ourselves. So that's why we do this work first, and then we can go into the other stuff. So I've come up with a list of 5 things that we may need to unlearn before embarking on a journey of personal development. And number 1 is upbringing. There's not a person who can realistically say that they had the best upbringing that there possibly could be. No matter what the experience was for you, I'm sure there were some things that you just wish were different. Maybe you wish your parents would have made a different decision. Maybe you wish that you would have made some different decisions as you were coming up. Maybe you would have spoken up about something. Maybe you would have gotten better grades or paid closer attention to certain things. As you may know, while we're growing up, we're just having different things deposited into us, into our spirit, into our psyche, into our subconscious. There are so many things that we have picked up and soaked up, absorbed over the years that we just accept as a part of ourselves. We just accept this as that's just the way it is. And maybe you don't know that you can unlearn some things. Maybe you don't know that you can redirect your mind in certain areas, but it's very, very possible, and in some cases very necessary, that you do that so that you can get to the life that you want for yourself. We're sponges as we're growing up, and if your parents were fearful or negative, then you have some of that in you, unless you've already done the work to get rid of it. If you had a negative experience in school, that is something that is a part of you, like something that you've been collecting over the years as you came up. And then once you got out into the world as an adult, you still hold those same viewpoints of the world, of yourself, of life, of finances, or whatever it is. that you absorbed along your journey of just being molded into the person that you are today. So that's something that you may want to think about. Number two is religious beliefs. Now, a lot of us were raised in the church, a lot of us were raised in certain situations where we did not get to choose what religion we would observe. We were born into something and we just did that thing that we were born into, regardless of if we liked it, if we wanted to, if we understood it, or any of that. And especially if you know me, you know that I wrote all about this in my book, The Mask. But we come up in these religions and there are misconceptions all over the place. Whether it's just how we understood it, whether it was something taught not quite right, or if there were other people around us that were interpreting it a different way, if we were seeing one thing and hearing another. Like, there are so many things within the realm of religion that we may have completely misconstrued, and that has shaped us in some way, to believe a certain way, to act a certain way based on those beliefs, because we know that our minds, our beliefs drive our actions. So you may want to think about your religious upbringing, your religious beliefs, and things that are true, things that may not have been true as you were understanding them before. Like, you may want to explore your religious beliefs. Another thing that you may want to unlearn, which is number 3 on my list, is past experiences. Now, of course, your upbringing is a past experience. Of course, your religious beliefs come from past experiences, but just past experiences in general, just in life, where something happened or there was some specific situation or something like that that caused you to make a certain decision, or caused someone around you to make a certain decision. It may have molded you to say, okay, I'm never going to do that again, or I will never be in this position again, or I will never try this again, or I will never, whatever that is. There's something as small as, I know someone who won't eat Chinese food because as a teenager they had bad Chinese food and was sick for a day or two. And so now, as an adult, this person will not eat Chinese food still. And this is something that could be unlearned. You can just try Chinese food from a different place now in your adulthood and have a better experience and change your thinking. Okay, maybe all Chinese food isn't bad and gonna make me sick, So you may want to dig into some of your past experiences that may have molded you the way that you are, especially in relationships. This happens a lot, where people have a bad experience in a relationship and they think all men or all women are this way because of this experience that they had. There are lots of people who enter into relationships and they gun for the things that they saw growing up, one way or the other. If growing up it was extremely negative, an extremely negative experience, they try to overcompensate and make sure that everything is perfect over here in their situation. Or if they had a great experience watching relationships growing up, they may erroneously believe that their relationship has to be the same way. It has to be made up the same way. You have to have the same roles in the relationship for it to go that way. And these are just things that cause us to close off to other possibilities, other opportunities to build something of our own. So you may want to think about your past experiences that probably shaped who you are and how you think and the way that you feel about certain situations today. Now, number 4 on my list is fear of the unknown. Now, this is a major one. A lot of people will just not embark on a journey of achieving a certain goal. They just won't take the steps to do anything because they don't know what it looks like. If you don't know what's on the other side of the door, some people would rather never open it. I don't know about you. I'm not that person. I'm gonna go open that door, and if I open the door and that's it, then okay. If I open the door and I'm pleasantly surprised, then that's a whole nother thing, and I'm able to experience a completely new world on the other side of that door. But a lot of people are afraid of what they don't know. They're afraid of what it looks like. Think about how scary it was to fly for the first time. You're gonna get in this big hunk of metal or something, and it's going to just sit in the air for hours. Like I think my first time flying was I was a teenager. I think I was a teenager, and it was terrifying because I didn't know how planes worked. I knew that people flew on planes all the time, but not in my life. I hadn't flown on a plane, and most people don't think about that either. They don't think about the logic of the situation. Like, this has been happening for years, and other people do this every single day, but because you haven't done it, because you haven't experienced it, it's like, I don't care what other people have done. I haven't done it, and I'm terrified. So you are very reluctant to step out and try something new, do something bold, because you just don't know how it works. You don't know what it looks like when you get into it, and that just comes from education. Once you educate yourself on how things are supposed to go in a typical situation, especially when it's something like that, where you can look it up. But if it's something like, starting a business, or if it's something like, I don't know, bungee jumping or jumping out of a plane, skydiving, it might sound scary to you, but once you kind of do your research, once you learn what the process is for other people and what the first step is to doing it, it's easier to take that step out on faith. If something comes up and you immediately dismiss it, you may want to explore why that thought was dismissed so quickly. Why are you so closed off to it? You may want to explore the reasons behind that. Your feelings can be a GPS system that navigates you to where that is coming from. You may not even be thinking about it, but once you actively focus on that fear, okay, why do I feel that way? It's probably because I had this experience when I was younger, or I had this experience and this happened in that situation, and so I guess I just completely turned off. I just completely got turned off to the idea of that. But you have the power within your control to change those things. I mean, you can take baby steps. They have, for skydiving, for example, they have indoor skydiving where you can go and kind of simulate the feeling and understand what would happen in that situation. And that can eliminate some of your fear. And you can watch videos on it, and you can read articles about it, and listen to other people explain their experiences about it, and then maybe that will kind of take away more and more of those fears. Number 5 is letting other people project their fears onto you. Oh, I know. Oh, I know. Let me say this one more time. Letting people project their fears onto you. That is something that you must unlearn quick, fast, and in a hurry. Right now, yesterday. That's something that has to go. I don't know if you've ever read the book The Dream Giver. Now, I talk about this book all the time because it's brilliant. The author is Bruce Wilkinson, and The Dream Giver. I'm not going to tell you the whole thing because I want you to read this book. But the author takes us on this journey with this character, and as soon as the character decides that he's going to follow his dreams, he is met with all kinds of opposition. And it's not you can't do that, you'll never be able to make it. It's coming from the people that love him the most. Because they love him, they want him to be cocooned with them. They want him to stay put. They want him to not go out into this unknown world. They want him to have to be content with just living a regular life. And so his mother is, telling him, because she's afraid for him, that she doesn't want him to do this. And his father is like, but what if it doesn't work? What if? And it's just like, these are things that we experience all the time. And this is something that holds a lot of us back from even taking one step forward, because there are so many people in our lives that love us. And because they love us, they don't want us to do anything that will make them uncomfortable. Do you hear how ridiculous it is? And I'm making it sound ridiculous on purpose, but it is just that ridiculous. I don't want you to go after your dream because that would make me uncomfortable. Do you hear how that sounds? But if you don't live your dream, if you don't go after the things that you want, if you don't make yourself a better person, you are going to sit around and find yourself miserable one day. You're going to look up and see that you've just been sitting watching TV for the last 10 years. You're going to sit up and realize that you wanted to start that business. You wanted to write that book. You wanted to speak in front of those crowds. You wanted to help and do all of these things, and you didn't. You sat still because you were afraid to make somebody else uncomfortable. Have you ever told somebody that you were thinking about doing something and they just ripped it to shreds? But what about this? What about that? Do you think you can really do this when millions of people already did that? That's not an original idea. Do you know how many businesses fail within the first 5 years? Have you ever told somebody your dream and had them rip it to shreds in your face? Like, hey, this is something that I set my heart on. And they're like, what is this? Get this out of here. How does that feel for you? That is something that you have to unlearn right now. Get comfortable with making other people uncomfortable for the sake of serving your purpose. Get comfortable with making other people uncomfortable for the sake of serving your purpose. I just had to pause on that for a second because I want that to sink in. Now, I know while I keep saying unlearn these things right now, you're probably thinking, what? Like, how do I just stop knowing something that I know right now? And that's why I want to give you some practical things that you can do to make sure you're moving in the right direction. Now, the first thing you want to do is to identify the things that you may need to unlearn. And the way you do that is to actively write out your goals. Write down the things that you would like to accomplish in your life. What would you like for your life to look like? Who would you like to be? What type of person would you like to become? Once you know that, then you can automatically identify the beliefs that you have about those things, because as soon as you think about writing it down, they pop up in your head. All of those thoughts come up in your head. And so you want to write those thoughts down. And you want to take inventory of whether they are positive or negative. And if they are negative, if they are fearful thoughts, if they are thoughts that lead you to believe that this is not going to allow me to accomplish this goal if I believe this. If you want to live a wealthy lifestyle, but you believe that rich people are evil, then that is a belief that you're going to have to trace back and figure out. So identify those things, because I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Identify those things. Once you have written out your goals and identified the thoughts and beliefs that you have associated with those goals, then you can move on to the next step. Now, number 2 is to understand the root of those things. That's why I was saying I was getting ahead of myself, because the way you get to the root is to trace it back. You want to take those thoughts and really kind of meditate on where this thought came from. Where did this belief come from? Why do I believe that rich people are evil? Why do I believe that all religions are pointless? Or why do I believe these things that I believe as they are related to my goals? So once you trace those back and say, oh, well, it was because of this experience I had in my past, or it was because this person told me this, or somebody that I trusted made me believe this thing, then that is a way for you to get back to the root of the reason you believe what you believe. For example, for a long time, I believed that I was the ugliest thing walking on the planet Earth. And I didn't realize that I believed that about myself until people started to compliment me, and I was confused. Like, what, like, I don't understand where that's coming from. Are they trying to be funny? Like, I really was confused. I did a video on this a while back, like some years ago, where I told this story. But to fast forward, I traced back that belief and realized that it came from my childhood when I was like 5 years old. And there was a woman, my sister is lighter than me, and I was the darker one and the one with the shorter hair and all of that. So there was a woman who pointed out that I was a dark, ugly thing and told me, don't play with that toy and give it to my sister. And so from then on, I knew that my sister and myself were different. And I kind of came up believing that I was a little old, dark, ugly thing. And it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized where that came from. Now, number 3 which probably should have been my number one, is you're going to start to implement some personal development practices. My favorite one, which is journaling, and the next one is repeating affirmations. Now, these things have to go together. One, with journaling, you get to write out everything that's going on. You're tracing back your thoughts and beliefs. You're writing out your goals. You're writing about the experiences you're having as you're unpacking all of these things. You might, once you start thinking about this, you might have a dream that leads you to a memory that you have of something that happened before that you completely forgot about, that caused you to believe something that you believe, and you're like, oh my gosh, and you know that was so ridiculous, but it shaped who I am today. And it will help you to understand yourself better. It will help you get to the core of those beliefs, and it will help you to determine whether or not you want to keep that belief or switch it up. So you're gonna use your journal to write out everything that's going on this journey of unpacking everything that you believe and learned over the years about the things that you actually want to accomplish in your life. And then you're going to write out affirmations that will affirm the new beliefs, the new thinking, the new goals that you have set for yourself. So you'll say, I will be the first millionaire in my family. I will start my business. I will be a published author. I will reach my fitness goals. I will do this or whatever. You're going to write out those affirmations, and you're going to read them aloud to yourself on a regular basis. This will help you to identify more of those thoughts and feelings, because every time you say, I will start my business, or whatever your goal is, when you say, I will do this, if you don't believe that you will do that, that will come up. When you say it, you'll feel some kind of way about it because it doesn't feel right for you to say that. And that's something that you should document. You should write that down and make sure that you're taking inventory of these thoughts and feelings that are coming up as you say these affirmations. And then after a while, the most beautiful thing will happen. You will start to believe the things that you've been saying to yourself, because as it comes out of your mouth, you're one of the first people that can hear what you're saying. And once you do it so many times, it starts to take hold, and you will start to believe those things. And when you say it, those negative feelings, those negative thoughts that were coming up before are no longer there. Or they'll be so quiet that it's easy to ignore. But you have to feed yourself certain things in order for those things to come up. And number 4, this is the last point that I want to make for you to practically do the things that are going to get you to your ultimate goals. When you're unlearning certain things, I want you to keep this in mind. Number 4, realize that nobody can live your life but you. Nobody can accomplish your goals for you. Nobody can do the work for you, do your inner man work. Nobody can do that for you. Nobody can make you think a different way. Nobody can change your belief system. This is all on you. So you have to commit to yourself. You have to commit to the process, and you have to understand what it takes to do this work. I mean, there may be some rough things where you are challenging your belief system. That is not an easy thing. So if you're challenging something that you have believed forever and ever and ever and ever, up until this point, think about how long it took for you to like get that ingrained into you. So say you're 25, you've been living with those thoughts and beliefs since you were born. This has been deposited into you all these years, and it took you up until your 25th year to make a change. So don't think that you're just going to say an affirmation or write something down and boom, you're this new person, because there has to be more work done. Just like there was a lot of reinforcing of these thoughts and beliefs and behaviors before, now there's gonna have to be a lot of things that go into, a lot of time that goes into you undoing those things, to learn something new and have that become your reality, have that become your belief system, have that become the way that you think now. So keep that in mind. You are the only person that can live your life for you, so you have to put in the work to get where you want to be. Thank you so much for tuning in. This, once again, is On Purpose with Andrea Denise. I really hope that you got something valuable out of this episode today. I hope that you are starting to do the good work. You stay beautiful on the inside. And this is from me to you with love. Peace.
Gon' find me working, now you gon' find me working. Gon' find me working, now you gon' find me working. Gon' find me working, you gon' find me working. Gon' find me working.